What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Welcome to another installment of Micro Brand Monday. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at a watch from the watchmaker LIV, and they have kind of a sci-fi space age watch for us, and I'm very excited to take a look at it in the metal. So let's go ahead and open the box, yeah? It is 1:37 p.m. Let's get down to business. Alright guys, let's go ahead and slide this outer box open. Again, kind of standard cardboardy paper outer box. Then we have kind of this smooth plastic, kind of pleather feeling inner box. Okay, we got this big hang tag. What is this? Okay, a microfiber. It's very nice to wipe the watch clean. And it's sliding off the pillow here, so I think we can just pop it off. Yep. And man, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, guys, so I've removed the watch from the packaging, or the box I should say, but there's clearly some protective plastic here. Let's go ahead, remove that and the hang tag, and we can talk about why I said this watch was kind of sci-fi space age. And that's because the name of this watch is the LIV Saturn V Moondust Neptune. So yeah, it definitely has that whole spacey theme here. Sorry, I know that plastic wasn't as satisfying as the kind of peeling the plastic off the crystal, but you know, we'll be fine. Nothing really on this hang tag, just some, I guess, marketing. It says, "Dare to live. Swiss precision designed to inspire. Follow and tag us at LIV Watches," and then their logo. All right, we care about this though, let's be honest. Let's get close up. All right, guys, so as we inspect this Moondust Neptune, we can see that quote unquote moon dust, as they refer to it on the dial there, adding some definite texture. We're gonna get real close to that in a moment to see just what that looks like. But the first thing I wanna bring up is kind of the design cues here. We can see a whole lot of screws through that bezel, kind of an industrial look. Now, I don't feel comfortable saying that this is like a true homage watch of anything, because I feel like the design is super out there, especially when we're comparing it to like a Hublot or something industrial like an AP Royal Oak. But we can also acknowledge that the screws through the bezel, that's a very Hublot thing, that's a very AP thing. But again, when we're looking at this package as a whole, with that dial and these colors and the handset and the crown guards and the crown itself, it's a little bit too different to be considered an homage watch, in my opinion. But yeah, we can also acknowledge this whole industrial bezel look. It's a nod to like a Hublot. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Hublot, but I do like the AP Royal Oak. So the industrial look, it can be good if it's pulled off well, and it can be bad if it's on Hublot. All right, speaking of these screws though, we can see some on this case back, and I kind of just gave you a little sneak peek of that movement. We're going to talk about the movement in a little bit. Now, I don't want to get too close just yet, but whole lot of screw heads on this watch, and you know I'm a stickler for the finishing of the screw heads. So guys, some watchmakers, when they have screws on the back, like securing that case back, they think that it doesn't have to be finished and they can just mangle the screw heads because no one's going to see it because it's going to be up against your wrist, right? Wrong. If you have something on the watch, it should be finished properly. Now, I don't know what they look like. I'm seeing what you're seeing. So it's not totally in focus. We're not totally up close. But when we get up close with the macro lens, I'm going to have something to say about them, good or bad. But you know, I say it like it is. So let's get up close, like real close to that moondust dial. And we'll see what it looks like, yeah? All right, so as we get up close to this 3 o'clock Arabic, we can see a bit of a sandwich dial. So we definitely have a lot of dynamic designs going on here. First, you know, you get that splash of orange from the second hand sweeping smoothly across that dial. But of course, we get that moon dust texturing, that kind of rough texturing everywhere. And it's a little bit of a blue gradient, right? It's almost fumé. So it's darker around the chapter ring and kind of a lighter hue closer to the spindle and that handset. But then you get the smoothness and the sleekness of those applied indexes, and again, the brushed finish of that bezel. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then you get the cleanness of the cutout from the sandwich dial. So there's a lot to look at, and all around incredibly dynamic. So last week, we took a look at that LIV. Alvia, which was a very kind of minimalist, modern watch. This, the exact opposite. Whole lot going on here. And again, a little sneak peek of the complication. We have a date window over by the 6 o'clock. Let's get up close to that, yeah? All right, guys, so I really have to give LIV some credit here for using a dark date wheel with their date complication, okay? Again, there's a few things here that I really do like. Number one, 6 o'clock date window. All right, no 4:30 or 4 o'clock date window there. 6 o'clock, perfect. Everything seems to be lined up prim and proper. That's another plus. Another plus, they chose to border it, guys. Wow, it's almost like they watch my channel and they took my design cues and put it on this watch. Now, again, I'm not affiliated with LIV at all. It just so happens they did a very good job with this date wheel. It's everything I want. It's a dark date wheel. It's bordered. It's centered, and it's at 6 o'clock, not at 4 o'clock. Good job. As we focus in on this 9 o'clock Arabic, we can really see that kind of fumé gradient, dark over by that orange 45. And again, I really do like that contrast. Blue and orange work very well, and it's not overly loud. This kind of reminds me of my Boulder Expedition Everest. That's another watch that uses this kind of blue and orange combination, and I really love that watch. So yeah, blue and orange, it just works. But yeah, you can definitely see over by the chapter ring, much darker than when we move in towards the center. Now, what is another orange thing on the dial? Well, we have it right under the 12 o'clock Arabic. We're gonna talk about that right now. Of course, I'm referring to that logo, the applied LIV logo, and of course it's following that whole theme, a little splash of orange on the dial. Now guys, I would love to hear your opinion about this logo. Me personally, I think it's a bit big. I would probably prefer this applied logo to be a bit smaller, maybe take up a little less real estate on the dial. And you'll see when I move the watch around, it will say LIV right under the spindle, right above the date window. We're gonna, again, focus in on that when I change the handset around. I would probably prefer this applied orange logo to be a bit smaller and then move the LIV text right under it. But, you know, different strokes for different folks, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. So guys, before we take a look at the other text on the dial, I do want to get a bit closer to this applied logo, because you'll notice closer to the bottom half, there's a bit of a blemish, okay? So perhaps when they were applying this logo to the dial, they didn't finish it fully. There's even a little bit of a blemish over by the top point. Gato, you can circle those areas for us just so we can see what we're talking about here. So yeah, not a huge issue. Again, I believe this is a media piece. They sent it to me. I'm going to be sending it back to them, and they've probably sent this around to other people. But still, for the watches you send to people to do reviews, you know, you'd probably want your better examples shown. So here, I got to review the watches they send me. This one does have kind of a few blemishes on that applied logo. All right, guys, so before we can take a look at some of the other markings on the dial, we got to move that handset around. So let's take advantage of this and check the crown setting and function. So we can see a big oversized crown and some large crown guards protecting it. I don't believe it's a threaded crown, because when I was messing with this, getting it out of the packaging, I heard some resistance there. I'm going to put it up to the mic. So you can hear this is a push-pull crown, because I can wind it in the closed position. So the second hand has stopped, so this is a hacking movement, and we already know that because this is a Swiss Solida SW201 automatic movement. I'm a huge fan of Sellita movements. I have a lot of experience with them, and I gotta say I'm happy to see this over the very, very common NH35 automatic. No offense to the Seiko Instruments NH35, I'm just a little bit more pleased when I see a Swiss Sellita utilized in a watch. So really no play in this crown, although I would definitely prefer a threaded crown because this is kind of a sporty watch with an oversized crown and crown guards. I would like to see a threaded crown, and there's really a whole lot of resistance pulling that crown out, so it's not like you're going to accidentally open this crown underwater or anything. So that's good. Seems to have a nice seal, seems to have some good resistance here, and there's two very tactile and distinct clicks when we go into the first position, which will be the date, and the final position, which obviously will be the time, and we'll hack the second hand. So let's go ahead and move that around, and we have exposed the LIV text. So we can see LIV, and right under that it says automatic. Very, very nice. Now, once again though, I gotta say, I would prefer this top logo to be a bit smaller and then maybe move that text right under it. But I mean, I didn't design this watch, so I'm just telling you what I would do. Now, everything seems very, very smooth when we were moving that handset around. Again, hacking, hand wind, Sellita movement, we're all very familiar with that. Let's actually move the date complication. Okay, everything is clicking into place. Everything is very aligned and centered. Love to see that. The crown, of course, is signed with that LIV logo. And we have some more orange accents kind of underneath that bezel. Now, as we've been taking a look at this watch, something has been sticking out the whole time, and I'm sure you guys are wondering, and I haven't even brought it up yet, which is kind of crazy. There's so much going on here with that moon dust and the date complication, and I'm sorry. I was a little bit consumed elsewhere, but let's go ahead and talk about the case material, because I think people are probably wondering about that. This doesn't look like steel. That's because it's bronze. So this watch actually uses a bronze case with titanium. So it's not as light as like a solid titanium watch, but it's definitely not as heavy as like a solid bronze watch. So we're getting some titanium, on the case back here, I believe. I would assume so, because again, this doesn't look like bronze, and this doesn't look like titanium. So yeah, pretty sure a titanium case back showing off that, the rotor. The rotor says limited edition, no! You guys know I'm not a fan of limited editions, but it is showing off that kind of minimally decorated rotor. It says LIV and then limited edition, then it has the LIV logo. Everyone, we've seen Sellita movements a whole lot. You can see my fingerprint because I smudge everything I touch, my bad. We can see Saturn V moon dust, Swiss made, automatic, sapphire crystal, bronze, and titanium, 100 meter water resistance rating, and it says limited. Let me see if I can get it in focus. I'm sorry guys, limited edition. Now, I want to get up close and I want to look at these screw heads. And this is really the moment of truth, guys. I've had companies write to me being like, hey, I didn't appreciate you exposing the screw heads. And I was like, well, then don't send me a watch. But let's take a look. All right, first up, we're going to take a look at the screw head here. A tiny bit of marring on the top side, but I wouldn't say it's mangled. You can just tell that a tool was used. So a bit of a tool mark, but not totally mangled. We see a quick release for the spring bar. That's always a plus, right? Because I never recommend people use the factory straps on anything. Here, this looks pretty good. Less tool marks than the other screw. This one, to me, looks perfectly fine. This one, you can, a definite tool mark. Not totally mangled, again, acceptable in my opinion. You pass. This one's perfectly fine. Tiny bit of a tool mark on the top right side. And then we're back to the first one. Again, bit of a tool mark there. But so far, all in all, this passes perfectly fine. I've seen much, much worse. So nothing really to complain about there. Good job. Now let's actually, you know what? Let's take a look at the screw heads on the bezel. You thought you'd get off clean? No, it's not that easy. Not that easy, LIV. Nice movement. Okay, so here's the bezel. All in all, they look fine. And there's one thing I appreciate about these screw heads. I'm going to zoom out and show you. If you notice, the screw heads around the bezel, they all orient towards the center of the dial. So they're all like totally symmetrical, which is perfect. They're all in line, I should say, which is hilarious because you see Hublots that cost like a bajillion times more than this micro brand watch. And they don't have, the screw heads are all cattywampus. None of them align. They're all just awkward and misplaced, and it looks terrible. So it's crazy that a company that's a micro brand that does not have the resources that Hublot does can pull it off, but Hublot that charges way more. I almost swore on camera. They charge a bleep ton more. They can't figure it out. It's just crazy to me. So good job, LIV. Okie dokie, guys. Let's go ahead, break out those digital calipers, and measure the watch. This is my second favorite thing to do. My first favorite thing to do is probably complain about threaded crowns. The second favorite thing to do is measure, and then, of course, loom test. Alrighty. Let's go ahead. Attempting to exclude the crowns, because the crown guard, or the crown, again, these crown guards they're basically integrated because they take up like the entirety of that side of the case. 42 millimeters across. Let's go ahead, lug to lug. 49.5 millimeter lug to lug. Thickness, 12 millimeters thick. So, beefy boy, but not crazy. Let's go ahead and throw it on the wrist, yeah? All right, here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist for reference. Feels pretty good, guys. Again, it's not like one of these enormously heavy bronze watches, but it's also not crazy light like a titanium watch. So almost best of both worlds. Feels like a sports watch on the wrist. Like this is not a small watch by any means, but it's not huge, clunky, or cumbersome. So that's always a plus. And we have a bronze buckle, I almost said clasp, buckle, and it is engraved LIV with the logo. The strap, actually pretty soft and supple. However, there's like the keepers are very flimsy, and there's still something I don't really like about it. So those quick release spring bars, absolutely take advantage of those and switch the strap out for something else. Again, I recommend that on pretty much every watch, like Seiko's, garbage factory straps. Orient, again, my Orient watch, I have the Orient Defender version 1, threw that strap out as well. Even, you know, my Oris's, let's see, my Hamiltons, Rolexes, my Rolexes all came on bracelets, but you know what I'm saying, guys. And you already know, it's time for loom. Let's see if that sandwich dial can give us a glow. Okay, so the handset is glowing nicely. Unfortunately, the indexes, those big indexes coming through that sandwich style cutout, not glowing a whole lot. A little bit disappointing. A bit better. All right, so we gave it a bit more juice. It's glowing so-so. So the handset, very vibrant. Unfortunately, the indexes and the Arabics not glowing that well. So not the worst, not the best. Okie dokie, so we've taken a look at this watch, we've inspected it, we've taken a look at the specs, you know, sapphire crystal, bronze, and titanium utilized on the case, 100-meter water resistance rating, date complication, Swiss Solida automatic movement, really interesting design and texturing going on there on the dial. Overall, fairly clean, a few blemishes on the applied let's see, logo. I almost said applied index. And, you know, there's a little bit of patination here, and then there's, I believe, like a scuff on the bezel somewhere, but this is a media piece, so I'll let that slide. Okay, all these things considered, now we have to weigh it against the price. And here's where I think some people might be taken a bit they might be taken aback. Okay, let's just say that. $670, all right, according to the Kickstarter. That's for this bronze and titanium automatic version. They do have a variant, the Saturn V multi-watch, where you can configure it as you wish. Again, I don't know if that's a package or something. Let me see. Oh, 2 Saturn V watches of your choice, 1 bonus 2-watch leather travel roll, and that's $700. Okay, but excluding that package, just taking a look at this one watch, $670. All right, so for the Saturn V Moondust Automatic Bronze and Titanium, for that, according to the Kickstarter, you get the Saturn V Moondust Automatic Watch, you get the hand-stitched leather strap, which I do not recommend, the secure LIV pin buckle, let me see, limited edition of only 1969 watches, so again, 1969, honoring the historic mission to the moon. First delivery, low limited edition numbers. So again, I really don't like it when any company utilizes limited edition as like an added piece of value, because it's really not, in my opinion. I'm not trying to take this out on LIV as a microbrand watchmaker. I just don't like when any watchmaker tries to sell like limited edition watches. Omega is supremely guilty of this. Panerai, supremely guilty of this. Seiko, supremely guilty of this. I rail against these companies all the time. Now, 1969, that's not very, very hyper limited either. So that's like something to say as well. So for $670, you do have a lot of options out there. There's a ton of options. Now, we do have to take in consideration the materials used. You're getting bronze and titanium. No threaded crown. It is competent as a sports watch, I would assume. 100-meter water resistance rating, and the crown felt snug and secure. You are getting a Swiss-made Sellita automatic movement, but again, that's fairly common nowadays. You're getting a date complication, sapphire crystal. I think really where the value is just the really unique design. If you look at this watch and you see that texturing and you're a fan of sandwich dials and you're just like a space fanatic, you just love anything that has to do with sci-fi or, again, just anything space related. I'm not trying to say that the mission to the moon was science fiction, because oh boy, every time I mention the Omega moon watch, I get people writing to me telling me that the moon landing never happened. Like, people are upset about this, which is crazy, because we went to the moon. The Earth is round. Let's get that straight. The moon is flat, all right, period. But all jokes aside, guys, again, I never, ever in my Microbrand Monday installments say, you gotta go get this watch right now. What I will say, this is a very expensive watch, and I think where the value is if you just see this design and you have to have it and you're a huge fan of anything that has to do with space. But yeah, guys, whole lot of options within that price range as well, so I can't really tell you, you gotta get this watch right now. All right, guys, there you have it. Another installment of Microbrand Monday in the books. Special thanks to LIV for sponsoring this episode and making it possible. You know, it really does show that these companies have guts when they send us these products to review, especially someone so opinionated like myself. So you can see right here, we get pretty dang close up on these products. So yeah, LIV, thank you to my channel members, again, making it possible for me to film 7 days a week. If you want to join the channel, join the ranks of the T3 Army, go ahead, click the join button next to the subscribe button. It's $4.99 a month, and it's like YouTube's Patreon. You get 6 pieces of content a week, plus access to that members-only Discord chat. Check out the affiliate links in the description below. Check out my personal website, www.thetimetellershop.com. And yeah, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it. Oh, I dropped my flashlight.